please, it's all for Scott, Marty, Sarah. I know it's not me. Anyway, welcome back to Monday Show. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I said Marty and Sarah, not me. Thank you for choosing us, by the way. And Nadi Swallow, Scott Capurro and Sarah Kaywood all here. This morning, are any of you vexed by a viral ad that appears to be cashing in on the Japanese tsunami? Is it acceptable to gain commercial advantage from something like that, so long as you give cash to help the relief effort? 0207 173 5555 is the number you need. But first, the rest of the headlines, and it's Japan, presumably, Sarah.
It is Japan. And it's this nuclear reactor that's causing the problem. So the front page of the Times today, the people of Japan have been told by their Prime Minister, Naoto Kan, to brace themselves for the most brutal ordeal since the Second World War, since 1945. There are aftershocks this morning, I think, weren't there?
There's another reactor. They've got problems with the cooling water flow.
There's a malfunctioning nuclear reactor in Fukushima, one of which may be in partial meltdown. And I remember Chernobyl, and that, you know, the problems that Chernobyl had afterwards are still lingering on. People are still suffering with radiation problems.
Well, I believe people still suffer from the after effects of Hiroshima to this day, which of course predates
Japan,
all of those.
You know, so I mean, I think the Japanese, I mean, their infrastructure is very strong, so you know, they were as equipped as they could be.
Well, they're turning the lights off in Tokyo, so the whole country is becoming deprived of power, and you think on top of everything else, but there is a glimmer of hope, or at least one happy story.
Is. And it's the front page of the Sun, so a beautiful story. A tsunami miracle man was found alive yesterday, clinging to the roof of his house 10 miles out to sea. And he got pulled to safety. He was waving a little red handkerchief, and they spotted him. He thought he hadn't been seen, but he had been seen.
You can see how he could have been missed, couldn't you? Because he just flotsam and jetsam.
Absolutely tiny.
His wife didn't make it, though, I'm told.
No, his wife didn't make it. So even that is tinged with tragedy. It's just... I think it's heartbreaking. I mean, I watched the TV.
It's hard to take in, really, isn't it?
It really is. And, of course, the death toll, The Independent, I've got a story about the death toll. It's officially 1,600, but there are 10,000 people missing. So, I mean, that figure is actually...
Of which I believe that calls... there's been something like 4,000 Brits are being inquired about. That's not to say that 4,000 have died, but there's sort of... several thousand Brits that, at least, that will be over there and possibly affected.
I mean, the area that was damaged was kind of the same as the distance between London and Edinburgh. It's a huge swath of the coastline, isn't it?
I mean, that number's still dwarfed by the tsunami in 2004, was it? You know, the Boxing Day, which was 300,000 people died in that. So, but just... any loss of life, I think, is dreadful. And then finally, the NHS reforms that everyone has been up in arms about. Well, it looks like there might be an about-face because Liberal Democrat backbenchers have basically said no, 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 resoundingly.
This is Lib Dem's Spring Conference,
Yes, yes. So the Health Secretary, Andrew Lansley, announced yesterday that the blueprint, already going through Parliament, is now under review. Which can only be a good thing, because obviously...
It's a sort of half U-turn, is it? It's, we've not turned yet, but we might turn.
Yeah. I think that I've had some brilliant NHS experiences recently, and I think it's the one area of the spending cuts I feel very passionately about. I think they should leave it alone. Just leave it alone. It's not broke. Don't try and break it and then fix it again. It's good as it is.
Makes you wonder, though, if the Lib Dems can force the Tories to have a rethink on this, why they couldn't manage it with the student tuition fees.
It's got to be cut somewhere, I guess, and it was the students that suffered.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think hell should suffer, although you do.
Well, you have to wonder about some of the things we spend, you know, helping people lose weight. I suppose there's an argument for that.
I mean, it's difficult. It really is difficult.
Catching up rugby players who take part in willfully in dangerous games and then complain they don't get seen within 40 minutes. Well, couldn't quite understand what he was complaining about the other day. What have you got, Scott?
The guy who runs Burger King in the Sun, he was complaining about the lack of attractiveness amongst English women, and
he was English, not British. Come on,
he said. Well, he did say British, but I said English. But because I think Scottish women are lovely and easily accessible. The point I'm making is, the Burger King boss said that he went to university here and he's not distracted because the women are so ugly in Britain, and the food is so bad, and he runs.
Well, he would know, wouldn't he?
So, a woman from Warwick University, a spokesmodel from Warwick University said that she was furious, and how dare he use the female population to sell more burgers, or whatever she said. Women do go on and on. But anyway, the point is...
But he's no oil painting, is
No,
he?
look
He's not a looker.
But he's rich, so who cares? And in the Daily Telegraph, this thing for you, this whole gay dog stuff you're into, they put this in.
I'm not into it.
Well, the Crufts Best Dog and Show was won by a black Labrador retriever.
Flat-coated retriever, I think you'll find is the technical term.
All right, there you go. Mince. And its name is Jet, and it beat 6 other finalists to claim the prize in Birmingham. So are you excited about that?
I was quite excited. I don't think More 4 has had so much viewing from me in the right household before. I think it's probably the first time I've ever seen it.
Right. Yeah, it's great. My mom used to love all that, but she's dead now. And in The Sun, the killer of a woman who's in prison, Matthew Richardson, is having a sex change operation. He's now 55 years old. And he was on leave in Brighton working in a charity shop, and they approached him or her because he's wearing earrings and a cute little outfit. And they said, should the taxpayers have to pay for your sex change? And his quote was, in a deep voice apparently, absolutely no comment. What do you think of my hair? And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I mean, it's another debate, isn't it? If someone's life is, they suffer pain and misery and they're unhappy and a health service can step in, why not, I suppose?
He's a killer man in a killer woman's body. And so he's going to be changed and all fixed and adjusted and nice. So the final story was in Daily Star. This guy who's a serial dad who has 8 children, says that his back...
Oh, the feckless father, feckless father.
Yes, his back is too bad for him to work, but not too good for him to work it out, you know what I'm talking about. And he is he's known as the Sunderland Shagger, and he's about to have a 9th child with this woman that, well, I don't think they should be allowed to do this. She met him when she was very drunk, and they met at a Greg's bakery. So romantic. And these are the types we're talking about that shouldn't have, And no, really, come on. No, they shouldn't be. These two
should not be allowed.
They should be separated at birth, but they found each other somehow eating buns and rubbing up against each other, and somehow he gave her some of his DNA, and boom, a fat little scary baby's gonna pop out of her. So, yeah. I agree.
I so badly needed a laugh. It has been such a terrible few days for news, and laughter is the best cure. Now, what have you got?
Okay, well, I'm going to bring you down a bit again. For obvious reasons, Libya has been knocked off the front pages,
Yes.
but we mustn't forget that actually these incredibly brave rebels against the might and maniacal...
Or you could argue these evil upstarts that claimed they had a rebellion behind them, the people behind them, rising up against their beloved and trustworthy leader, Colonel Gaddafi, a good friend of Tony Blair's. Okay. And at long last, truth, justice and the Blairite third way has prevailed, and these pesky troublemakers will be murdered and run down like the cheating, poisonous rats they are.
Yahoo!
I love you, Matthew!
Quite frankly, that must be the way we view them. Otherwise, we would have stepped in and helped, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Instead of sitting on our hands, watching the weapons that Tony Blair sold to Gaddafi turn on these troublesome, this troublesome revolution. It's. We're going to talk about this tomorrow.
Will you marry me?
It'll be bigamy. Well,
yeah, they are begging for help. They are begging for help, and they are not going to stop. They're going to fight to the death, and their children's children will fight to the death.
They are there with machetes, I mean, there was a story earlier last week about a guy with a barbecue skewer. Okay, and they are trying to fight off heavy artillery and tanks.
Can we see the photo there with the shells? Can we see the photo in the? I mean, just horrific.
Oh, it's awful.
Oh, I'm cross with this in The Sun. Matalan's padded bras for girls of 8.
Finally. Dating.
I have an 8-year-old daughter.
Okay.
The thought of
Does
her
she need
putting
support?
on a padded bra, well, I'm a bit worried. She's moving early, but I certainly don't want to encourage. The bra is bad enough, but the don't even think about it T-shirt for an 8-year-old. And fashion giant Matalan launched an urgent review last night.
Only after the Sun pulled them, yeah.
Well, was there not one single person
That's the extraordinary
anywhere
thing.
that thought maybe this was inappropriate?
In the first place, in store, and now there's a review because the press have got hold of it.
Exactly. And how many times have we had this
about 5 or 6 years we've had stories of push-up bras in other stores. We've had the pole dance kit for children being sold in supermarkets, all of which are eventually withdrawn. Public outcry. The thing that gets me is, one, who decides they're going to make it? Who buys it in for the store? Yeah. Which store managers think it's OK? Exactly. And then finally, who buys them for their 8-year-olds? Because somebody must.
The Sutherland Shagger buys them for his 8-year-olds.
Exactly. There are people that buy them. Oh, this is a lovely story in the Daily Mail. Aren't cats clever? Oh, not my cat, though. My cat is a complete psycho. I'm so worried about it. But anyway, this marvellous cat can predict when its owner, the lovely Nathan, starts to have a fit, an epileptic fit. Right, now, how clever is this? Apparently, dogs and cats can detect barely perceptible chemical changes within the human body in advance of a fit and raise the alarm.
They've got dogs now that can sniff out cancer, and I think this is now, gaining credibility as a weapon against cancer. Here you got
Spend some money on that, researching
So what does the cat do? No, that's...
Well, it just runs up and down stairs.
Could be confusing.
OK, OK, Daily Express. Hooked on booze, aged 3. How did that happen? Who was giving this baby booze? The world has gone mad. My husband doesn't drink. My husband doesn't drink a drop, hasn't drunk a drop for 7 years. And the amount of apologising one has to do in this country for not drinking. It's the only drug in the world that you have to apologise for if you don't drink. And I think, over on the Times here, we're saying that doctors snub drink plan as weak and pro-industry.
I'm so proud of the doctors that have come out here.
And on every one of them we must listen to, our Alcohol Concern and the British Liver Trust, saying that plans for the plans that the government have to try and do something about the alcohol problem we have in this country are just pathetic. Alcohol units.
All the research pointed to minimum price alcohol would save lives. I think they were saying if you went to it's either 41p or 51p a unit, you'd be saving 4,000 lives a year. And after conferring with the drinks lobby and the alcohol companies, the government decided to water this down so that a minimum price of alcohol now is about 21p, I think they've gone for, which means a £9.99 bottle of vodka today is going to cost a tenner when the minimum price comes in. So they're expecting that 1p difference to lead to fewer drinks.
Lily liver. They have to whack the prices up. Absolutely. That's what they have to do. All this. What young idiotic kid who is going to change their mind about binge drinking by the alcohol unit written on the bottle? It was just pointless.
Well, that's what the thing says. There's going to be units on beer mats, so you're going to get your units of alcohol.
I don't think that'll make a difference. It's like warnings on cigarette packets doesn't stop people smoking. I just think whack up the price. In Norway, I was in Norway last year, and it's prohibitively expensive to drink over there. Subsequently, they don't have the binge drinking problem
that we say that. I happen to know a few Norwegians and a couple of Finns,
and they are
shocking.
Do you know why they're over here? The booze is cheap in the UK.
That's why they came. And they can see their hands in the middle of winter without having to use a torch, because it's not pitch dark all the time. And our telly is better.
I wasn't drunk in Norway once. £15 for a glass of Pinot Grigio. Ooh.
The way to turn the teenagers off from booze is just lower the price of cocaine. If only the government would step in.
Now, that I believe you can't say on daytime TV. OK, so we'll apologise for that one on your behalf, Scott.
Sorry.
I know it's coming from the humour gland. It's overworking this morning. It's pumping it all out, and we're enjoying it. But that one, we cannot
No,
accept.
I totally disagree with that, too. I mean, what you're saying. Yes. Wait, what do I mean?
Now then, after the ads, I just want to know if any of you are vexed by this viral ad that appears to cash in on the Japanese tsunami disaster. The team behind Bing, OK, which is an internet search engine, sent a tweet out pledging to give $1 to the relief fund on behalf of everyone else who retweeted their message. A canny way of gaining exposure virally and doing good. Or are they cashing in on a disaster that's costing thousands of lives? 0207 173 5555. That's your number, whatever you view. We'll see you on the other side of this break.